Hey everybody, I want to welcome you guys today to our interview with Mandy. Mandy has been struggling with symptoms since as far back as she can remember, and we're going to talk about that. A lot of gut symptoms, hormonal stuff, migraines. We're going to get right in and dive right in. Mandy, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Mandy, and I've struggled with my health since I was little, as long as I can remember. I've always had stomach issues. My parents worked really hard trying to figure out what was going on. I had been tested numerous times for Crohn's disease because my symptoms really linked to that, and my dad had that, so they thought that was a possibility, but I was never positive for that. And just always horrible sleeping. The older I got, the more symptoms hit, like migraines and vertigo, eczema, restless legs, fibroids, horrible periods, painful, everything. I was just a mess, but I've never gotten a diagnosis for anything consistent to figure out what was going on.
So Mandy, what you're saying is that you have had a whole hell of a lot of symptoms, but do you actually have any diagnosis of autoimmunity?
No.
Okay. What made you suspect that any of this was related to autoimmune? Because after all, we are talking about an autoimmune program that you did online with us.
Right. Last year I had a naturopathic doctor that she kind of led into thinking that it probably was an autoimmune, but never got diagnosed to that. And then in December, when I was in the emergency room, that ER doctor did some testing, and he tested the ANA test. And then he told me, he said, "You have an autoimmune disease. You just have to figure out what," with his thing.
So I love the fact that you have no autoimmune diagnosis, but you know you're a sitting duck.
Yeah.
And you have recognized by yourself in your story that there was a whole hell of a lot of hormonal crapola going on. We'll dig into that. And a whole lot of gut symptoms going on. And we're going to dig into that. So that along with ER doc and naturopath pointing you in that direction, you're like, I'm not going to wait for a diagnosis. In fact, I don't even want a diagnosis. I want to figure out what the root cause is.
I mean, I had tried, after being in the emergency room in December, I went to a rheumatologist. I went to my GI doctor, my regular doctor, and had so many tests run in January and February, and nothing was being determined.
Can I ask you, was there a moment what moment, or was there a time you could recall that made you realize that this was something that really had, that you needed to do something different about it? Was there a moment of realization for you?
In December, going on one of our family's dream trips to Hawaii, and day 2, I was in the emergency room, and I didn't get to enjoy the trip, and I didn't get to enjoy my family, and I think that was a big turning point for me, that I knew I couldn't keep doing this.
What happened? What brought you to the emergency room, and what happened as a result of that visit?
I got such severe bone and joint pain that I was hurting so badly. And I went to the ER the first night, and the doctor was just determined it was related to my acid reflux. And so he told me to take acid reflux medicine and gave me a prescription for it, one that I had already told him I was already on. Went nowhere. He sent me home, or sent me away that night, and on heavy pain meds, which I felt great by the time I left there. And then the next day, it all came back because the pain meds wore off. So I went back to the ER and got heavy pain meds prescription for the rest of the week. And that's when the doctor was like, "You have an autoimmune disease. This is a flare from autoimmune, and you have to figure out what it is."
So let me get this straight. Typical conventional medical treatment. You told me you went to the ER with severe joint and bone pain, and they diagnosed you with heartburn and gave you heartburn medication and then narcotics?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, right?
No. I mean, the narcotics helped, the pain went away, but it didn't cure it. I mean, it relieved it for a temporary time, but I had to keep taking that, and I don't like doing that. So
the lesson is pain is better when you're high.
yeah, but the other feeling, I don't like the other side effects of the pain meds. I can't stand it.
I love it. Okay, so let's talk about this. Mandy, what made you decide to actually join our program? I mean, we're out of the box. We're a 2-month online program where you do this program in the safety of your own home. We ship out test kits for you. You guys, you're meeting with me on a regular basis in a small group, and there's a community in our Facebook, private Facebook group that you go through this program with, that small community. So this is completely out of the box. This is not you're going to the clinic back and forth model. What made you decide to do this?
Well, and it's funny, I wasn't even looking for the program. I was looking for doctors that I could go see. And my sister was talking to me one day, and she was like, one of her best friends told her about this program, had never heard of it, but just had found it, and was like, I think your sister needs to look into this. And I was very skeptical, I'll be honest. I was like, yeah, whatever. But I'm like, I'll look into it. It can't hurt to look into it. And so I did. I started looking into it, and everything just seemed to make sense. A lot of the things you were telling really lined up with my naturopathic doctor, but then there were so many other pieces that you were saying that I'm like, that's where it wasn't fitting together. Everything that the naturopathic doctor was saying.
So here's the deal. I love what you're saying. And if you guys haven't joined our Facebook group, Mandy did this. So join our Facebook group. It's called Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally. We have over 150 videos, trainings, and case studies in there on every autoimmune diagnosis under the moon. So if you want to learn more, please go to Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally. Now, that being said, Mandy's highlighting a really important point, which is that she was seeing ER doctors, conventional doctors, and a naturopath, but the pieces weren't being put together. I want to highlight the fact that rheumatologists or conventional doctors do not have a holistic approach to autoimmunity, and even naturopaths and most functional doctors may focus on some specific area, but that doesn't make them an autoimmune disease expert. So that many pieces can still be missing in their care, even if it's a natural form of care. When you've been in our program now 2 months, so my question for you is, you've been working with conventional doctors and naturopaths. What's the biggest aha now that you finished the program just this past week?
I think learning, like the time where we focused on the vitamins, like vitamin D, B12, iron, learning how to
vitamins.
Yeah, learning how to really read those test results and not just look at what the lab says and say, okay, I'm in that range, I'm good. Learning that no, I still wasn't good. And learning some of them are not just okay, do it for a month and then I should be good. They're a lifelong supplement that I'm going to need.
And that's true and not true. I mean, one of the things, and you're so fresh out of the program, I think for me, it's like about supplementation is I love educating people based on what your data shows you need, but more importantly, how to fix the root cause. And fixing the root cause may not happen in the first 2 months, but I tell people it's 2 months to launch to turn around your autoimmune disease naturally. Mm-hmm. So you're basically in the beginning of tackling some of these causes to fix these problems permanently, so it doesn't create a dependence on supplements either. Mm-hmm. Think about what's something you do now effortlessly that 3 months ago you would have thought was impossible.
Being able to work out, being able to, like in my neighborhood, I walked all the way to the end of my neighborhood and back. And normally I would go like a third of that.
So you're starting to trust yourself physically.
Yeah. Well, and I have the energy to do it. I have the ability to do it.
How do you think, even though this is a medical program, I want to ask, how do you think relationships with people have changed as a result of some of your physical transformations? Are there any relationships that you think have changed, and how so?
I think even just when people ask me to go do something, I'm going to have more energy to say yes instead of saying I don't feel up to it. And that's huge. I mean, that being able to go and do stuff with my friends is a big deal to me.
Mandy, I'm going to ask you to dream a little bit with this next question, which is, if there was something on your bucket list that you've been dreaming big to do, now that you have the energy, what's something big on your bucket list you were going to do?
Like one of my dream vacations, which would be going to Alaska. I mean, you know, the last vacation I went on didn't go so well. So to be able to do a vacation again would be big.
With how you feel right now, what do you think is the likelihood you can go to Alaska and enjoy it this time?
I think it's very possible now. I do. I think there's hope in that. So.
I don't think there's hope. I think that's going to be coming up. I'm waiting for you to share your pictures of Alaska with me this summer.
I just need to win the lottery to be able to go now. No.
There is a budget trip to Alaska.
Yeah. I will get there, though. I will get there. I will.
Last question. What is something you learned about Mandy that surprised you during this program?
That I can feel better. That I don't have to let the symptoms define me. That I can get through this and be able to get control of it and not let it control me.
That's really powerful, because if you think about it, most people dealing with autoimmunity or a lot of these symptoms, what they don't know what they know for sure is that they're hopeless.
Yeah.
But this is the opposite of hopeless. This is, absolute certainty about yourself that you can get better. Yes. That's huge self-trust.
It is huge.
You rock, Mandy. I'm so proud of you. I hope you guys enjoyed Mandy's interview as much as I enjoyed it. And Mandy's really a great example where there's just so many symptoms with gut symptoms since she was a baby, and a lot of hormonal symptoms, hair thinning, fatigue, that really ruined her life in a lot of ways, causing her to be over and over again seeking medical help, ER visits, narcotic medications, and really feeling hopeless, and having a major vacation to Hawaii destroyed by these unexpected physical symptoms. How many of you are suffering or having your life controlled by your symptoms rather than you being in control of your life? Mandy's a great example of this, and victory over that, and self-confidence over that. So I want to thank Mandy for that interview. For any of you that, if you enjoyed this interview and you know somebody that you want to share this with, go ahead and click the video and put their name underneath the video. They may not listen to you, but they may listen to me or Mandy. So if you can learn more about us and our program, Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally, by joining our Facebook group with the same name, Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally. I'm Dr. Maggie Yu. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great day.
Lupus, lung fibrosis, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, fibromyalgia, AS, which is a form of arthritis,
that's too far, extremely fatigued,
pretty much zero joint pain.
Much more happy.
I don't have brain fog anymore. How much weight I have lost. I want to see remission.
Maggie and her approach is very different than the traditional doctor.
I'm a totally different person.
Got a better understanding of what those intolerances were.
You're not alone.
The community is, I'm learning from everyone else's issues.
It's not just helped me, it's helped my entire family.
We are transformed.
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 Join the movement and transform your autoimmune naturally today.